Okay, so what we can do in triggers and what we tried to do in the last class is something is about we are trying to update a account onto the same object after doing a callout. So exactly by investigating what I got to know is let's say you are trying to do a trigger on an update of an account, so that should go hit a callout. It is hitting a callout and again coming back and updating a record. So every time when you're coming back and updating a record, it needs to be a before update because whenever you update a record, right, on a same object, it needs to be before update. And after update also, you're trying to do a feature call, and the feature call is again going to a Salesforce, and then it is trying to do, trying to run a different transaction, and it's trying to update the same record. So those all indicates you're trying to do before activity only. Mm. So where I was using this. So so this is the one which we had an issue. Sample snippet analysis. Okay. Issue with updating the same object. Post. So as I said yesterday, um, um, points to remember. The first thing is in before triggers, we cannot have a DML. For example, you're trying to do an update a statement on the before event thing. So that is not possible. Kumar, you getting what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah, got it, Raj.
Okay. At the same time, if you want to do an after trigger, what they happen is in the after they are in read only mode. So we are talking about which object if you think we are talking about only about an account object. Why have to talk only about an account object? Because we designed a use case for customers like a business or individual customers when an update or insert on a zip code, find the nearest restaurant, map the restaurant to the customers. That was the statement. But based on the zip code, we are not mapping. Somehow by the nearest street or restaurant, we are mapping. But we are calculating the distance. Something like we were um, calculate calculate the distance between the customer zip code and restaurant zip code and update. So this was our use case. But to achieve this statement, like calculate the distance between the zip code, customer zip code, and restaurant zip code, and update in account object. So now zip code and the restaurant zip code, it all matches to an account object only. So while working with this only, we are trying to forget the few important points about the triggers. Ideally, this can be done achieved by you if you have a button where you do a manual transaction, something like I'm going to the account. I'm going to the account, uh, hit a button to check the distance. So something like a button you're having it, you're calling, hitting a button, you're calling a transaction, and that is trying to update the account. So this is possible. because you're doing a clicking on a button. On a save of a record, you have to do a call out, and that has to update in the same object. So that is not the feasible solution. So something like manual transaction have like this, and you want to automate this. Let's put this on way batch. So in batch, what we do is we try to run the run the batch every day, or maybe you're running for every hour. Run the batch every day or every hour um, to update the accounts. Uh, what is it? Zip codes distance. So these are the solutions I'm saying. So using a manual transaction, if you do, you can do it through a button onto the same account page layout. So manual transaction, going to the account record page, hit a button, hit a quick action button, something like this. To check the distance and update the account. So this can be done. Yeah. Where you are trying to manually click onto the button and that calculates and update the record. So this is absolutely is doable. And automating this is via through a batch of running the batch on every day or every hour. Let's say every day if one do you are running by 12 a.m. or every hour you wanted it. So even the batch would run automatically in the background. So this all is trying to update the same logic. But why we cannot do it in trigger if you think. So let's put this at the top. So this is an issue which we tried and the solution also I've given at the bottom. So points to remember is in before triggers we cannot have a DML. So the first point. And the second point is after trigger where the account object is in read only mode. When a read only mode, we cannot update the same record or same object. So in a before trigger we cannot have DML. Why we saying is so we use the future method. Actually, future method runs in a different transaction. They are doing their job perfectly. Now, so using a future is running in a different transaction. Uh, however, the update indicates when you are trying to do an update on the same object, it is equivalent to a before trigger because you are updating the same object, right? What I said is what I said is in the very beginning of trigger class. However, whenever we try to update the same object, it is equivalent to a before update trigger. In a before update trigger, we cannot have a DML. But actually, in our future, we have DML update account object we have. So that's the reason both the before trigger got failed when you try to do an update, or an after trigger we tried to an update on the same object even that got failed. Is getting over there?
Yeah, Raj. Good.
Okay, constant around trigger. Okay. The solution is something that the manual transaction we have, automated transaction we have, and while dealing with after update, um, still the future works for other objects. While dealing with after update, an account object, still the future method works to update a contact. So this we achieved it. So manual solution for this is manual transaction, automated transaction, or usage of future method with after updating. With using this future method, what you can do is, or after method, what you can do is you can try to update other objects. Like say I try to do a modification on account, I try to update the contact object without doing a callout. So that let's see that example. So I just clearly stated here. So what we try to do and what was the issue and what is the solution. So one among the solution using a feature method, after update, we try to update the other object. Yeah, this has been done. I'll show you how it is done. And we'll try to write a simple batch class which tries to pick it up every day and that tries to update the record. So that we'll do today. So this on. So this on where. So this is something about the get record we're trying to do it. We'll see some other service, something like a post or put we can do. So then we're good there with the integrations of consuming a service where we try to hit someone and consume a service. And then we try to, if possible, we can write a service to expose a service. If then we do, I think from a REST point of view, we are able to consume, we are able to expose a service. So that is an ultimate goal. So then we'll move on to the same type of logic with SOAP-based service. So with the overall, we are in good with integration. If you do with the SOAP-based service, again, we can't expose, but we can consume the SOAP-based service. And post that, we'll write test classes for all. So then we are good with the classic developments of their advanced version with asynchronous apex and integrations. So then we can jump into the LWC or other stuffs. So that's a roadmap we have. And typically what I'm trying to do now is, so let me show you a use case which we try to calculate and update the future method with updating a contact. And then we'll come to a batch class. So both we're going to do today now. So this is a trigger which we have an account trigger handler. On a before update, we are not doing anything because if you're trying to do it with the before update, that's something that you're doing on the same object. So I'm not doing anything out here now. So account feature class, fetch postal code, call it where? Okay. Before update, I've tried to do it. After update. Okay. I tried to do it in the before update only. The moment you're trying to update the record, I try to do it on the before update only, I think so. Anyway, feature call doesn't, it all impacts onto the same object. If you do, we worry about it. You're doing on a different object at the future method. It runs on different transaction, so you don't care. But doing at the same object only it is as an issue. It's okay. So what we did here is come feature, fetch postal code. But what I feel is this should be not in the before update. It should be into the after update. After you update an account, only then we have to hit this record. So let's take this logic not from here. We'll take it to Fetch this restaurant account record and ready. So this is perfect for them. So let's go to after update. That's original statement what to be. So I'm putting the statement here. If the billing postal code and the parent billing postal code is not equal to null, so then put me this record information. This is simple enough. So here is what we're trying to send the customer ID with which we want to update a postal code and restaurant postal code. So I'm doing just the account feature postal code. So what I've did is I'm not writing the feature class on the same object, sorry, same class. So I moved this logic to a different Apex class. So where this Apex class is trying to do all the feature stuffs. But what happened is we are trying to update the contact object, right? So it's okay, fine. So in this feature class, what we're trying to do is we are trying to fire the record, which is incoming record. Let me save this now. On after update only, I'm trying to do it. So that means something. Our account record is getting saved. So you're trying to import onto the contact object. Hmm. So after update, so what we're trying to do is here, we are trying to call the billing postal code. This should not be null, and parent postal code should not be null. So then we're calling this guy. So in this, what we're passing is the current account ID and the respective billing and postal code. These three values we're setting it here. It goes to this particular callout method, class and the method, and they absolutely should be static. So only calling class name dot method name. So account ID passed, postal code of a customer, postal code of a star. So both are matching it. Just a minute. Postal code of a customer, postal code of a parent. Okay. So I think both are correct. Customer and for a star. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to do an update contact records here. So query the customer related contact. So even in the contact object, I create a distance between the you and restaurant. So where the contact ID is equal to this limit we are putting it. And so this postal code and the postal restaurant all be passing it here. And kilometers unit, same thing. So we are trying to parse the JSON and we're going to find the keyword called as distance. So while finding the distance, mm, look at here, the distance between you and restaurant. So we are passing the value. We are updating the contact record. So finally the update statement we put it here. So this updates the contact object. So let's do one thing. Open the real-time record and do this and show you changing in the zip code whether the record is getting changed or not. And so we have to update the API key here because the API could have been expired. There's a new API key we have. So go to the custom labels, copy paste this. So we got updated with the new API key. So if you don't update with the API key, so they don't log with the latest one, and still it may throw an error. So that's the reason I have this. So let me open my logs here. Keep ready. I just go to account. I go to Rajaram here. In the detail sections. So what we have is, so I may update this postal code. Mm. So come out, any postal code like is 28075, something like this is valid. Something if I give 80, No, let's do a trial here. So 80 and the other one I think 78. Let's see distance between these two guys. So before that, so we can go to related accounts and we can open the context and keep ready. So in the prior we had um, the distance between you and restaurant was 32.133. So I didn't update on the same object, but I updated his contact record. Person account will have account and a contact, right? So I tried to update his own record. So where I can see the 32.133. This was the previous one. So now we are trying to update this record to 80. So this got saved. And I don't know whether if this is a valid a zip code which I've entered. And between this and the restaurant zip code, if it has this value should be changed. Yeah, there's a difference. So difference between 80 and 78, I think there is a difference of 51 kilometers. Uh, so what it is, we just go to our feature handler and see whether you have run execute successfully or not. The result is 51 kilometers, 977, and that we try to update is to his contact. So do you have any questions now? And simple account object only, we try to not update the same object, we try to update the other object. Do you see this? What's it? Sorry, Kumar.
Yeah, yeah.
It's okay, so no problem. Let's jump on to the. I just simply shown a use case here where we are trying to do update on the customer object. That is basically contact object. So now what I want to do is I want to write a simple API for same logic, but I wanted to put into a batch epics. So let me open our previous batch epics. Open this class account to batch epics. So we are trying to do update on the points, right? A simple points we're trying to do it. Um, now let's put it the same way. I'm gonna write new account batch for what? Zip code. Account batch. Account batch. Zip code update class. So there's a new Apex batch. I'm just trying to use it. And what is use case? Let's write down the use case here first. So use cases update all the Salesforce customer business or individual records, which could be 10,000 plus, and um, so we're not taking this point. Update all the Salesforce customer with this when there is a change in zip code. When there is a change in zip code, absolutely very good point. Uh, when there is a change in zip code, from where? From customer or restaurant. If any of these guys is changing the place, so we have to update them. Or new record, which is um, where there is a change in zip code from a customer or restaurant, or one more condition also matches where um, or this particular field, which is that. Or distance video and custom restaurant field value is blank. So if this field is blank, we are considering those records to update. Okay. So this is a use case we have. So one among them we're going to achieve first thing is distance between you and restaurant. The field is blank. We are trying to pull up their customer and their respective restaurant. We're going to take the zip code and we're going to do an update. So this is going to run as the batch process. So we're going to automate the system. Um, by doing this, we are we are automating the system. Um, See, one more issues can come here in the trigger handler or feature method. So why? Because is here. Um, you're trying to send the account ID and the account ID is not null or the account ID doesn't have any contact. So then this system may throw an error. So we have to handle it carefully. If this is in a list of contacts, the list should return empty. It should not be always single record. When you try to query if that record, what I assume is when I'm trying to update an account, if that account doesn't have any contact, singleton what it does is the query doesn't having no any results. So it will throw an exception here. So best to have is list as no, instead of having single contact to have a list of contacts, it's more benefit here. And then the overall we say the overall statement here what we have is we can have a simple if statement. Here, instead of update contacts, we say query contact. Let's say the query contact list and just reshading meaning. If query contact list not is empty. So I'm not saying it is empty. I'm saying it should not be empty. So I'm putting not. Query is empty means you're expecting an empty record. But if you put not at the beginning, so you're contracting them. So that way, so the record should not be empty. Only then we fire all these records. So the query contact list, whatever we got it. So we're gonna take them. So why we have to put zero is that we consider only the first record. So we have to put the zeroth record and then distance between you and the restaurant. So those records we're passing it here and we are applying those records here and goes to update statement. So if you are trying to consider from the list the first record, it's always the query content of the zeroth record because the limit is one we have taken. So why have to convert to a list if you say they are like more safer if the record is returning empty record, it doesn't care. So it says the size is zero. And if the size is zero, we never get into the statement. So we'll never get an error at all. So that's the reason I've changed it to a list quickly. And then updating here also, we are sending this statement here. So the query content of zero, the distance of customer object. So we are trying to pass the value and we are trying to update this record. So do you have any questions here?
No, no, Raj.
Okay. So this is a safe way of writing a query and then dealing with them. So that's the reason we have converted to a list. So why did I got that strike is because while an account you're trying to update, that respective contact may not have any records. So then that system, whatever the feature class, it might fail by doing some exception there. So that shouldn't occur. So that's the reason I changed it. Anyways, public class account zip code update match. Okay, so we're gonna compare the same. So we're gonna take this as a global, and the first line should be this way. class name, I'm going to give the same name. I'm going to take this off. So the moment you try to implement this interface of batchable epics, database.batchable, so you need to have all these three methods should be there. What are the three methods? So global finish should be there, global start. Either you don't write any logic, at least you should have the let me see. Of course, we're going to process the account records like this. We don't have any update points, so we'll come to this later now. Mm, And the first is start method. Start method. So why we require a start method is we are trying to query a record and process this. So we require this method. So now what we're trying to do is we are trying to find a restaurant here. So not equal to record type of restaurant. So which is absolute valid scenario where we are trying to fetch the record only for customers. So that customer is actually either a business customers or individual customers. Yeah, either a business customers or individual customers in this case. Hmm. So why we picked up the restaurant record type? Because we don't want that record type. So that's the reason I put not equal to null. So not equal to that record type. So I'm not picking up the same points. I'm picking up another field called as um, distance between you and restaurant. Same field we have an account object. So same thing you're going to bring it up there. So distance between you and restaurant. So only this would help us select name, distance. Along with this, I need to get the postal code as well. Um, Look at this. Select name, distance between you and restaurant, and there come a postal code. See, this postal code is only about the customer. You are under the same record and you're finding the postal code. This is for a customer. Now, one more postal code we're gonna take it that is from the parent because who we are, we know that the parent who is here. For example, if you go to account, you have a parent record here matched already because this is the guy who is nearest restaurant for you. And if this is the guy who is nearest restaurant for you, and the restaurant's name is this Kukatpalli. For Rajaram, as in being individual customer, his nearest restaurant is Kukatpalli. So where it is actually in the parent record, right? So you're gonna go to parent dot same billing postal code. So this postal code is for the customer record, and parent dot billing postal code goes to their accounts or respective restaurants related postal code. We bring it in there. Any questions here? So we are pulling the distance record, we're pulling the billing code, and their parent billing code. All we're getting it. So based on this and this, I'm going to calculate the record and update into the distance between you and restaurant. So any questions here, Kumar?
No, no, Raj. No,
Okay.
Raj. No.
So this query account we're sending it here, and so this particular statement it tries to um, query the records by query locator. Actually, this query locator can fetch up to 50 million records. And these 15 million records we are returning to And all this record we are returning to the scope of execute method. Let's say this is the scope which we have. Okay. So we have query here, and that query we are doing here, and that what is going here. Now count list is having actually 50 million record in one go doesn't go based on the batch size what you give it go chunk by chunk. So now account list we have here. Now the thing is we have to start here. So we need not to call any feature method here. We can directly call a logic of this apex method what we try to do here. So in the future method we're going to call the same thing of an HTTP, and we're trying to update some record. Right? The same logic we have to bring it up there. But here we don't have any update statement for contact something like this. We're trying to add to a list that is more than enough. And what is like missing here now? So we'll see quickly. HTTP service fire. Okay. String postal code customer zip code. Okay. So those things we don't have. So account record which is flowing in a for loop. So we're gonna take them. Account dot what is this billing postal code? And again account dot parent dot and then billing postal code. So this is respective billing code and this is the parent billing code. Okay. So maybe we can have a statement here at the before only we say that hey you're a billing postal code and a parent billing code. If it is not null, then we can progress then. It's a well point to check it here before anything we start with. So why this if statement we have is we have to check them right. So whether this guy is having actual valid code or not, who knows? So this statement is very important for us now. They should not be null for us. This account dot billing postal code and it's the same thing. Account dot parent is same. Account dot parent dot billing postal code should not be null. Only then I can progress them. Okay, this statement looks good. So now put this entire thing into there. So this callout logic goes there. So here we're good with the postal code, zip code, everything endpoint is okay. Now to whom we are trying to update? So we're trying to update the account object, right? So the account which is going here, the record which is being processed here to the same record I'm saying. So account distance. This particular account dot distance between you and this, and we are just updating the latest value. And update who? We are trying to update. So we say update account list. So this update account list we are going to bring it up to where we try to update here. This list dot add of whatever the recent record we modified to is account object. Okay. And the same account list we are trying to update here. Now we go there. So what we did now? So we got a list of account records and then we send it to account list. So there's a for loop which is running based on the size that you're giving it. 200 means a 200 records progress is in here. Okay. So we have to give such a way that the limit should be we can update up to 10,000 records. But your batch size is only 2,000. You can send in one go. So it's still good. In one transaction, 10,000 records we can update, but we are trying to update here 2,000 records because based on the batch size we are running. So let's assume you are giving batch size as 2,000, so it will have 2,000 records here. A simple progress of all this for loop and do all the stuff, and then it has a list of 2,000 records added here. In one go, we can update 2,000 records. See, the advantage of batch is you need not to write anything like database dot save results, where they say a few class, a few records which are failed, only they should run, and which is not failed, they should execute. Something we have no database dot save results. So 200 records you progress. Any one record got fails, we don't worry. We just process with the next set of records, and whoever succeeded, let them update the record. So batch class by default does that. In normal Apex class, we have to write it manually called database dot save results. If one record place failed, please do not revoke all. So the failed record let it go, and the other record let it save. So that one by default we have in Salesforce here in batch class. So look at now what we have to do. I think all simple. Same HTTP method, postal code, get endpoint request, all we're getting it, and we are passing the record, and we are updating the account object. So now I told you right, a button which tries to update the record. So the button can call this batch class. A button can call this batch class. Yes, it's possible. Save this. And the same batch class can also be invoked in. Same the batch class also can be invoked in. What is it? Same batch class also can be invoked in schedulable Apex, where we try to schedule them by running every day within so and so time. So I can go call open previous any existing schedulable class here. Yes. So you're trying to call the account Apex batch this one an database will execute batch. So there's a previous batch which they had it. So I can comment out them. For this, I can call now this particular batch. But this class is already scheduled. It doesn't allow us to update us. See the fun. I'm sorry. Syntax was wrong. You have to instantiate properly. So AC is the instance variable, and we're trying to do this. So already a batches and feature jobs which is running here, so they won't allow you to update the record. Let's go to schedulable class, and we'll delete them, not required anymore. The previous jobs which we had. So I'm going to delete this. So what this indicates is you're trying to run a scheduler at 12 p.m. So 12 a.m. and this is the batch that which you're running it right for schedulable class. Anyway, this should have been stopped 2720. I think this is the last one, but it's okay. I'm going to delete them. So now let's go to developer console, and to execute this line of code, I think in the past you written some statement. I have to check them. So here's the schedulers that we have. So in the scheduler, we're trying to call the schedulable class. Okay, let me save this because so this class should now be saved here because we don't have any schedulers. Look at that, the classes got saved because you don't have any active running schedulers onto this batch epics onto the scalable class. So by doing this, what happens is we are trying to call this batch class in a scheduled manner, runs in every day 12 p.m. 12 a.m. actually. Run a scheduler. Um, let's say put to update zip code to update distance at 12 a.m. Now that this works, run scheduler to update at distance of zip code at 12 a.m. This to be new. So, scheduler and all these things there. So let's try to run this job. This is something that we're setting from manually from the, or we're trying to run the batch. Oh, let's come and see in the skill job whether it is able to run. Look at this, we have now quickly. So run a schedule to update the account record distance between this guys and running this. But I should have given a statement called as it's just directly pulling all the records in a day. But I just wanted to have this update apex. So what I wanted to have is I did query the record type, I understand. But I also wanted, according to my use case, even the distance code should not be null. Only then you should pick it up. Distance between you and restaurant should not be null. I'm gonna put and here. Oh, sorry. And so distance between the restaurants is not equal to null. Of course, right? It should not be equal to null. Only then pulling those records have a meaning there. So what it does? Oh, this is pending job in schedule. It's okay. We have to go delete them. So I have to update this logic because when that particular distance value is empty, only then I should update the record. Getting? And not equal to null. Yeah, that's very statement. I mean, this particular field and account object is saying that is null. You try to run this whole batch, so it's making meaning there. So I try to update that, and so I'm gonna put the statement here only. Since if we miss this out, I want to copy this and paste it here only. So what if you miss this out? So I'm just having it here. I'm saving this here only. Oh, sorry. So this should be for a comment purpose. I'm just keeping this out for your references, guys. Something that how do you set from manually from dev console? That snippet is this. So let's run an actual thing from a developer console and execute this. So it runs every day 12 a.m. So it runs a batch and shows which other records got failed. Hey, now we have to run a simple batch epics to indicate this record is like, where's that? Now on my account object, I need to see a distance here to be updated for sure. This is blank now. I want to be present here. So what I do is I just go to developer console and I have to run my no, not like schedulers. I want to run my batch class. So how do you run a batch class like this? The same way. But instead of this, we just giving our account zip code apex class batch name. Actually, only one record we have that which is not null. You can say that the size of this record which is not null. But this batch will be taking off the entire records. It's okay. By doing this, we are trying to figure it out how many records you have parent and how many records you have zip code for the child. All that will run and show it up in the results. So by doing this, what we're trying to do is we're going to find out all the customers whose distance between the UN and restaurant is not null. And also in the logic, we are figuring it out. So their postal code and zip code should be not null. See, one way thing is you can do that filters here in the batch class. Where did it read? Where record type and the distance between new and restaurant should not null. And again, we have added that the billing postal code not equal to null, and the parent billing postal code also should be not null. If that we would have checked, this condition is not required for us. This condition is not required for us. Why? Because you are progressing a record. Here you're saying that they are not null. That's wrong. I think you should have put it here. Anyway, we have executed the batch. That's okay. So I'm saying simple statement. Anything that you want to check in incoming records, you should check it here only in the query. So make sure these two fields you try to make a filter here only so that these conditions may not require to you. So why I said this, we have never intend to make some mistakes. Um, if you try to do this way, please avoid this and add it here. Anyway, the logical would work. Why? Because here you filter here only. You not to come here. Whichever the null records of a billing coastal code, we have to eliminate it there only. So need not to progress till here. I'm saying here. Of course, many of the billing postal code would be null. Who knows? Distance anyway, it's null. Firstly, postal code only is null. So what the billing postal code would have added there? Yeah, it is good to add such filters here only. No issues. So you can write such logics. So now we are trying to call this. So basically, our record should be not null, and the distance should be not null. Only for those records we are trying to update that activity. I'm gonna execute this batch. So you can go to schedules. I think it should have been scheduled so far now. So that is anyway it's running by 12 a.m. You need not worry about it. So we're not going to worry about this. This is going to run by 12 a.m. So let's go to jobs and see, do our future methods have any issues in the failures, or these are future methods so far failed everything they have tracked. But it's okay. Those were not. We are trying to do this. So what happened? I didn't see a single batch has been progressed here. Total batches say 0. So this guy 0. So let's come to our. Let's see our batches run or not. So no. So record type is fine, and the distance between this guy is also is fine. They're not equal to null only. So whether the query that we pass to the zip code apex. So let's quickly take this and see any such records are actively valid we have. Oh, count record type where not equal to this it won't work. Okay. So let's don't consider where record type is a constant there. What else? We can give record type actual record type ID dynamically there. No problem. I'm gonna query these records and see who are the guy who are relevant to us. This is a record type ID. I'm saying that not equal to this guy. So bring up all the records. So select name, distance between you and distance, billing postal code, parent billing postal code from account where record type not equal to this, and the distance and then not equal to. See, not equal to null. No, it's all null. Oh shit. Not equal to null means so you are always expecting distance between you and distance is always has some value. Actually, we don't have value. No, it should be null. Oh, crazy. Okay, so now I'll fix that issue here because running them. Mm, So if you put here, so let's go to schedule jobs and delete them. Why we want to delete them is because it's already scheduled for the next release to run for 12. It has been scheduled. So distance between you and restaurant should be null. Now let's add this condition again here only. I want the record to be processed, which is not equal to null, and this is also not equal to null. Let me take off from the list. So we say and account dot no, it's parent dot billing postal code is not null, and just the billing postal code not null. I think we are good also here. Okay, so they should not null. Zip code and those should be not null. I'm saving this, and if I do a check here, which is not relevant, I mean not required here at all. So I'm gonna delete this, delete the statement. It's okay. Control A, Shift Tab to rearrange. I think now we're good. Any condition checking, please check it here only. Do not come and do a test it here, or else unless the record flows in and it wastes the resource time. So they are also good. And the schedulers, we don't want to schedule right away now. We'll run the batch. A manual way of running a batch will do it now. I'm executing this. Now let's check again. Uh, where billing postal code not equal to null and parent billing postal code not equal to null. We'll see this how many results we get it. We have only one record, and this record should be progressed. That's what our intention is, which is account. Why? Only because here you added postal code, and to this relevant restaurant also you have added a postal code. Only this guy is only this particular record we are doing testing, so it is valid only for this. Because other records we have not populated the zip codes. All I wanted is this record is getting updated or not. Now here, let's see why. Too many callouts. Some exceptions we got. Why that too many callouts? Only one callout we have, and that to be indicated by too many callouts. Only this record got progressed. End point, all this is fine. You know what I mean with too many callouts. So that indicates it's keep running for a number of times. So what such logic you run to run a number of times? So come to batch epics here. See this account list is just getting the queried amount of only one record, and that you're firing a for loop. And running them how would be too many callouts. I'm gonna run only one record here. So batch epics gonna call. In what way it indicates too many? So they're saying too many callouts here. Mm. So in that case, we're trying to update a record. So that record is again trying to call a contact, and they're also trying to update the other object. But that is not relevant here. I think we didn't get results only firstly. Mm, so distance apex, zip code, kilometers units, zip code area. Look at this. Here only it got terminated. Line number 30, and we didn't have any response here. So what it'll do is we'll just go print the responses what they were getting it. We have a get method here, fire. We didn't come to here. Line number is what is this? 30. Mm, and this indicates line number 30. And the 33 we're getting is a limit exception. Let's come to 33. So here response. So it is telling us from here the request which you're sending it. So it says too many records that we are progressing in. Actually, we are record having this particular record is holding only one records. You can check the count also. So if not saying that system.debug, and you can say this account list size dot size. So this account list size we will get it. And if you wanted to print them, you can also print them like this. System.debug, the whole record you can print it here because you're progressing each record, right? Count each account record. So you can print it as an account here. So only one record we're progressing in. How too many callouts indicates that you are trying to call in one go as many callouts. In one single transaction, I think up to 10 callouts you can have. So where we run 10 callouts? We don't have even 10 records we're firing up. We're sending only one batch. Okay, let's put limit as one here. So limit one, only one record I want to progress. So Control E, execute it. So this guy gives too many callouts. Let's check the debug of this. See, size one record, and the account record is only one we are processing, and the only one we have to be fetching there. So the impact of this patch. Let's do one thing. Our triggers, which is running in the developer console, will turn off temporarily because a trigger is firing. Even I mean that is the issue. We are unsure about it. So let me currently turn off the trigger because even in that is again calling the account to a contact batch. Sorry, contact a feature handler, but this shouldn't be a big deal. I'm gonna inactivate the trigger as of now. So let's do this independently. We're running as a scalable Apex patch. Still we see. $200 callouts you can make in one transaction. Too many callouts. One. This is what we got it. Let's see. Oh, I feel the callout. I think callout is equal to true. We have to put it here. This is the only one thing which we missed. This is the only one thing we missed. You know, our batch class should have. Our batch class should have just not simply database.batchable. It should tell me allow database or callout. Even if this callouts are getting scheduled from the schedulable, so even them we have to mention it over here. Like how schedulable these guys are mentioned. The first of this line should have implement and the allow callouts. This would solve the issue because they are having issue with one callout. Oh, sorry, schedulable is not required. I think. Database callout is more than enough. Without this statement, if you try to execute an integration code, yeah, you're making actually a callout. So they're not processing next stage at all. They're sending that database callout one single error. Only one callout actually making that is also putting to an error state. So this is one statement which should be always considered. So look at this database callouts. Allow callouts. Now do one thing. So we don't want anything set to be limit here because we are good there. Save it and go back to your trigger. Let them also fire. We don't have any issues then. Let them be also activate. Let's see what are the complications we'll get. All the systems should be up and running. Our code should work. Now let's go execute the batch. It has run. And now quickly check. Our serial job should be joining in there. Future method cannot be called. Update field exception cannot insert update activity account execution after update. Okay, so what happens is you are trying to fire an update of an account. So this is going to update the account, and there again the feature method is calling for contact. So these all are dependent. So let's see in meanwhile our record anything got updated or even this got filled. So deactivating the trigger for updating a contact is the stop now here. Now run the batch again. See, absolute run, it has no issues. It has 10 KB here. So the 10 KB indicates that something is worked out. See, 51.977 is the record should be updated. So go to Mr. Rajaram on accounts record. So distance was null. It should be refreshed with the points with 51 point some change. Finally, now what are the few things that we have to consider here? As we discussed here, automate transaction via batch, like to run a schedulable job, fine. Or in every hour we have written a batch. Where we actually try to run a batch via through manual process by dev console. Still it's fine. So automating it's simple enough. Go to a scheduler and then run by 12 a.m. every day. So this is updated the zip code, but it has complications. You are trying to update an account, and then account is again trying to update the contact object, which is again a future class. From a batch, you cannot call a feature because this both the guys are asynchronous. So that is one thing you have to consider. And manual transactions when you want to do it, so you can go hit a button of quick actions like this, so they can update the record. Same thing, same activity. You are trying to do um, a stuff which tries to update the record. Hey, more one thing here. So still you want your trigger to be run. So what you have to do is you have to bypass the um, triggers logic in the account scheduler. Something like so here only we can bypass something that if trigger dot is entered or before update, whatever it is, before update, after update. System dot is batch. Is batch, you don't do anything. Is not batch only, then you call this. We can call this way. Fairly enough. You guys getting? So when you're running a batch method, I don't want to run our trigger logic here because this guy is calling a feature method. So I don't want to run that at that particular time. So I'm saying that system dot is batch. So in that case, system dot is feature. You don't want to run. So all this indicates all the system class has this. Hey, who has to call? What has to do? So in that case, I'm saying if for a batch, if for not batch, only then call. If for a batch, do not call this method at all. What you trying to do after update? In an after update, we are trying to call a content object, right? So I would want that. I don't want that. Either you can do this logic here, or you can go to a feature class, or is said that account handler. In the account handler specific to where you're trying to update a contact, you can skip out them there. But overall, in after update, we're trying to update the contact record only. Or we can put it here, no problem. So why? This simple callouts only we're making, no? So where we'll put it here only, not up to there. So overall after update it should not be run. So if system dot is batch. So we can check are you running, are you future, are you function callback, are you schedule, all we can check there. I'm saying that system dot is batch. So when it comes to batch class, at that time, do not call this particular method. That's enough. So instead of saying that, hey, do not run for all the guys, I'm saying, hey, only for this particular when it comes in batch, please do not run. Then we can go to a trigger. I don't want to put it here. Let the trigger after update anytime they can run. Only your snippet where you say that boss, I am running a feature here, so do not run that. Okay. So this is all active good, and I'm gonna activate them back and execute the same. Save it now. Yeah, trigger is active now. So edit, you can check them active. Yeah, so they're active now. Close this trigger context now because it's already you're opening developer console. Now you're saving this at deactivate there because this is we are working in active mode here. So close this. Why? Because it's already opened in other side of the trigger. Okay. So yeah, you can easily guess out from here they're active or inactive. So this is active. All right, come to develop console. So you say that this batch has been not running. It's okay. So I'll come to. I'll take out this value and save this. Yeah. Now this record is blank. So again, I'm gonna run the batch class. So still that error shouldn't get. We are saying that because we're saying that particularly, hey, this particular batch, you do not run it now. See, it has run actually because you have to bypass them saying that when I'm running a batch, you please do not run because in a batch you cannot call in a feature method. So we have to say that guys, you do not run there now. So it got executed actually. Code between this. Okay, fine. So right around, let's go and quickly check them. Perfect, right? Got updated. So trigger is active, your batch is also active, and they are all running in one go. So no issues with them. Now, if you want to run a quick actions here, let's say I want to fetch record manually for each and record. So you need to have what to say quick actions like this. So now to have a quick actions, let's see whether we can get it from here. Quick actions. So new quick action. So you're gonna call update record. See that you can do a flow, or you can call a lightning component, or you can call a custom visual force page, which is calling that particular method. So if you have a flow, select the flows. Whichever you have created it. So what happens sometimes a background flows you can create, and that flow can execute to run this particular method. Let's see. Um, so flows I didn't work in the best, I think. In our it's a trial we're trying to. So by doing this, what you're doing is we are trying to achieve all manual transaction with button, automate transaction with batch, using a feature method, updating another object. This all is done. So let's do this. Um, a new flow. So screen, it's not a screen flow. It is a record triggered flow. No. Hmm. There's Outline. Who are the background guys? Auto launch flow runs in the background. Launches when the record is created, updated, or edited. Auto launch flow runs in the background. Okay. Servers is record trigger flow. Could be. You control the placement of all elements and connectors. We automatically position all the elements at your connectors. So when when the record is updated, mm, actually hitting a button that doesn't mean it's an update or whatever. So I don't think this should be a record triggered flow. Because record trigger flow indicates the moment you try to update RAM, so it should fire. So I want something like a button should execute. Yeah. So here they've indicated. So experience cloud sites, quick actions, and more. Quick actions will indicate from screen flow. Let's go to this screen flows. So to layout, start a flow. I want to perform some actions outside the flow. Okay. What are the actions that you want to perform? On account object. No, it's not like an account. You're trying to do it. You're trying to. So this is trying to create a new account. I don't want to create a new account. Something like I wanted to. Uh, so account. So this all quick action indicates that you're trying to create a new record. But so we wanted something that. So the moment you click on a button, I need to fetch the record. We'll come back there. So do we have any other buttons which can activate them? So let's see. So this all is calling a JavaScript. Okay. I think we can have a simple VF page also, and that particular VF page is calling this controllers also still works fine enough. No problem. So in the quick actions, we'll try to implement something, either a flow or a component, lightning component we can use. Okay. So when we come to lightning component, a lightning LWC or an Aura class, we'll try to invoke this. So if in meanwhile, I'll check it onto the flows. If we're able to update, we can do them. So I'll check the possible way. How do we fire a button? Okay, so I think I'll check onto the flows which we can try to Update via the screen flow. I indicate so what it is here. We have to add the screens here. Get the records. Okay, I'll just do some investigation here because you have to do some activity here. Um, fetch. I'll update on this tomorrow, guys. Fetch account, and then you're trying to do some activity, and you're trying to fire a class. Then it should be done. Search field that which is matching the condition. So distance between you does not equals to null. It is null. Yeah, true. So fetch account. I'm saying where are you in that particular record? We're trying to fetch it. And the one more is what we're trying to do is um, somewhere it should be decision loop. No, it's not. No. Go to the select elements. What is the action that you want to perform? Action. So I want to call an Apex class. That type we don't have here. Yeah, Apex action. Somewhere we have to call this Apex class the batch which you define. In that case, I think we're good. So in the new resource, you're trying to call stage now. So no problem. I'll try to indicate this. This flow is going to launch based on the account record which we fetched, and then we have to fire an Apex class that should be there. So perform an action outside the flow. So for sure somewhere here only it should be. So Apex action it's not displaying here. So make sure Apex class includes invocable method. Oh, that's great. Okay. So we'll try to fire them guys with invocable method. So this is another crazy we have to have. So Apex skill class zip code. And that method something it should have invocable method. Shikumar, you there?
Right.
So this batch class we know. So we say that it's an invocable class. Invocable class. So here one method we are going to have at the rate invocable method. So only then we can pass this. So we can see um, we have to call the particular method. Inside that I think we have to call the batch class. So we need to have annotations called as invocable method. Why? Because while you're calling from a process builder or you're calling from the flows, you need to have this such method invocation called as invocable. Invocable. I need to indicate that. So what you basically trying to do it here. So label, you have to say that in string and okay, label is equal to update account is the label which I'm giving you now. So you have to give descriptions if you wish. Description is equals to in the distance. And which category this is belong to, we have to mention. Which of the basically this belong to. Now we're good there. I think invocable method description. Oh, we're good. Don't have anything like this. So we've tried a method here. So that method is calling a batch. So we say get accounts. Oh, okay. We can write instead of get accounts. Call. Okay, so we have enough couple here. Then we try to launch the flow. In the flow, we try to call the perform an action, and then action indicates type. The apex action. So I would say update zip code. So I'm just simply checking this whether the button can call the flows or not. So let me call this action. Update account. Use values from earlier flow to set the inputs of the update account action. Use the trace inputs later in this variable. What is this variable? Okay, label is um, So we are calling this invocable class and then we're trying to save it. Let's try this out. So what you're doing is you're trying to call a fetch and then fetch account is passed here. And using this fetch account, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find this statement record, not sorted, only first record, automatically store all the fields. We're checking only this guy should be not null and the record is fine. So let's run this save. I'm going to activate this. I'm going to come back to account object. So let's come to the console here, new action. So we're going to call flow, update zip folder account which is created right now. So I don't want anything standard here. So here fetch, what is that? Uh, Fetch distance or fetch distance. So is the name which I have. I'm going to save this. Okay. Go to the object manager, go to account. In the page layouts, to whom you're going to have it. What is our intention was to have the button, which is you're going to do a manual transaction. We're going to have to take quick action. So quick actions, we're doing it now. Quick action is something that that particular button can invoke few many things. Like say they can call visual force, they can call lightning component, they can call flows, or the basic functions whichever they have. Like say UI stuff which they have to create a record. So we chosen the flow which is indicating now whatever we created here and we activated it. There are also a couple of flows things we have. So we landed with the screen-based flow and we try to not do that activity. So once the flow is ready, so why if I'm calling from a flows to an Apex class, we should have an invocable Apex class. So that's the reason we written that. Even the process builder can also call an Apex class, and they should have this invocable method. So you can detailedly check this out. So now come to home. I was doing something here. And the account layout onto the business customer, you can bring that quick action. So the quick action is something, so the fetch distance, you can put them into the front. Quick save. But we are dealing with the individual customers currently. So mobile and quick actions, fetch distance. So again, bring it up to the first. Now let's save this. So we have to see in our Rajaram layout whether we are able to see them. Everything is vanished. So I'm going to go to the accounts. Going to the leads. So Rajaram. So if you look at this fetch distance, is the button we got it now. And this button has to call a invocable method, and then invocable method is calling a batch class. It's okay. Your invocable method also can have your fetch logic, what you're trying to do it. I'm just calling the batch class there. Let's see how this works out. And of course, the batch class should not have any of the value here. Save it. So distance is 0 here. Now fetch distance, you're doing it. So this is trying to do some activity. The flow is finished. Perfect, no? So it called a batch class and it can update it also. Yes, getting. So the moment you try to click on fetch, so you try to call this, then that ran the batch class backside. Any question, guys? Here? Hey, Kumar, any questions you have?
No.
So now we were able to achieve the manual transaction via through fetching a button, automatic transaction via through a batch, and using the feature we tried to update from account to content object. So all these three we solved, and we have effectively used flows and batch and the future. All these things we have used with integration logic. So So far, what we did is we tried to fetch some record and we're trying to update in Salesforce. These all are consuming a service. And so we have to expose a service that we'll try to deal with tomorrow onto the REST-based API service. Fine. Are we good?
Very good.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Kumar. Sorry for late. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.